everyone, this is Castle of Castle Does, and I have progress for Project Stray. So what we have here right now is bullet damage for all weapon types, functionality for bullets to do less or more damage based on distance, training dummy that actually allows me to test the damage capacity for each and every one of the guns. Okay, so this cement block right here is a training dummy, and basically I can go from each of these different ranges, and I can test each and every one of the weapons and how much damage they're capable of outputting. DPS is raw and raw damage values, which is also easy to test versus energy efficiency. So like the shotgun, for example, is the highest damage and most efficient energy usage. SMG is the highest DPS out of all weapons, but is only effective at medium to close quarters, but is extremely costly in terms of energy. While the shotgun is extremely efficient, but only works at very close ranges and actually dissipates very quickly, even at medium range. The assault rifle is good at all ranges. Essentially, it's pretty decent, but long ranges it kind of starts to falter. Now the sniper rifle will come in two flavors, sort of a railgun and a scoped. Actually, there's going to be a lot of variety. I plan to have like variety of like all the different weapon types. So like, there'll be a rocket launcher, or you can have heavy machine gun, and stuff like that. And then there's different types of ammo that you can plug into each of these. The functionality is already pretty much set up for this right now. It's just a matter of changing a variable. So with the sniper rifle, we have the default ammo actually, it hits harder the longer the projectile has been out. So if you use a sniper rifle up close, or if you use a railgun up close, most of the ammo types that are available to these weapons will actually do less damage at close range. So one of the things that sort of that I always sort of recognize when I'm dueling in Quake and stuff like that is that people tend to switch to railgun, like even at close range, just because they know that they can do it. It's an instant 100 damage or whatever. But in this game, I want the ranges to be very defining for like what's the best choice for each gun. And sniper rifles rule at long range, but they can't do good damage at close range, unless maybe there's some kind of a hybrid ammo type like you can pick. But by default, most of the time, sniper rifles are going to be will struggle to do any kind of damage at close range, and railguns as well. So like with each of the different types of guns, you'll find things that have different behaviors. So like if you don't really care too much about having a super long range effective weapon, then you might switch in for a railgun that's a little bit more up close and behaves a little bit like the railguns from Quake or something like that. But in this case, you might have like a scoped sniper rifle, does a lot more damage, but it's just much more difficult to use at any kind of thing. So it's like there's like a give and take for every single situation. Which brings me to the next topic, something that was brought up as feedback for the project. This was mentioned as, please don't do random spread like that. Randomness is the enemy of skill. And I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that. That is 100% true. Randomness does actually conflict with a skill-based game, which is very much, this game is very skill-based. However, with that said, the random spreads in this are not really being used as a way to add randomness to the game, rather to qualifying effective ranges for each of the guns. See, a big part of this is going to be about having the best weapon for each situation, and you're going to be constantly battling with your opponent, who can then lock a gun away from you to be able to actually use. So like you're going to be constantly battling over which slots that you have at your disposal, which will have a huge effect on strategy. So in this particular case, you're chipping away slowly at your enemy's health, which can have up to it's 1,000 hit points with as much as a 50% damage reduction, depending on how much energy your opponent has while you're fighting. So this isn't a game where a single sniper rifle shot can suddenly just wield a headshot. This isn't about critical damage, crits or anything along those lines where somebody can be instant gypped the very second that he pokes his head out just because somebody got lucky. But this is more about figuring out when it's best to sort of spray at your opponent and knowing what gun to use at what range and fighting over access to those guns and making sure that you can sort of corral your enemy into the right positions and continually spray at them over a long period of time with lots and lots of shots fired. And it actually should take a fairly decent chunk of time to actually fully drain your enemy's health down. So the random spread is not really going to have that much of an effect. This is actually a very, very different style of play from, uh, you know, pretty much every other first-person shooter out there that I know of, because it's built around the idea that these fights last a long time and you're chipping away. There's no death. You die once and that round is over. It's very much like Street Fighter. So you might notice that I have my HUD, which the HUD is sort of basically blocked in right now. So if you look at the HUD right now, I have like the name of the player. You notice that there's a health bar and energy bar down here on the bottom. That's for single player. When you're playing duel, you only see the health bars at the top, and I mean, this straight up sort of taking right out like Street Fighter. Like, I might even modify this, or there's all kinds of things that I might be going for in terms of progressing this idea. But right now, the idea is that you see the timer. These are the matches that you win, right? I mean, if you know Street Fighter, you pretty much understand that what you're looking right now is a hybrid Street Fighter arena shooter hybrid, more so than I think I've ever seen before. So these bars here are for cooldowns on your secondary weapons. These are your slots, whatever slot that you currently have available, like any slots that you have unlocked. There's 6 of them. Pistol is always going to be unlocked, but it's still in the HUD. But this is SMG, shotgun, assault rifle, rocket launcher, or heavy weapon, and sniper, or railgun. So these 2 bars here are for your cooldowns. So like, there's a machete, which is a melee weapon, is your offhand, and that's what these 2 things are for your offhands. They have their separate cooldowns. So like, a machete is slower to swing. So this cooldown will actually, you know, it'll fill up again, and then you can use the machete again. But if you have like a combat knife, it's really quick. You can pretty much just swing away like you can in Counter-Strike or something. But there are certain types of grenades. Now I want to have uh, different varieties of grenades that you can pick for your loadouts, which there will be some grenades that require a big chunk of your energy, but like are really devastating and stuff like that. Or I will have like a type of grenade that's like you can toss them pretty much all the time. They're really cheap. They don't do very much. They do a little bit extra damage, but they're relatively inexpensive, and they're kind of just good for what they are. And then an sort of like explore some other ideas, like having a type of grenade where you just throw it and it's sort of like a really slow high damage projectile that just sort of hovers down a hallway. I want to try to have like all those kinds of different things. Now, I've had a lot of different discussions with people about the designs of this style of shooter, where it's like, well, with all this variety that you're throwing in, isn't it going to be difficult to determine like what's going on? And I don't know if I agree that it's going to be that difficult. People learn the ins and outs of like every Magic the Gathering card. Like everybody learns every single character in and different things for like every other game. Why is first person shooter any different? After a while of playing, I know that that particular rocket launcher with this type of that particular type of ammo equipped to it is going to behave in these very specific ways. It might feel random at first, but I'm pretty sure people will be able to learn. And I think that's one of those things that's kind of missing with arena shooters is there isn't that extra layer of learning the ins and outs of each of different guns because you pretty much know what they all are. They're the same exact thing every single time you play. But in this case, somebody might actually have a heavy machine gun and equip explosive ammo on it that behaves in a certain way where when you actually go up against that guy, you kind of want to understand how that actually behaves, like what he's going to be good at to be able to do with that. Rocket launchers do a pretty decent chunk of damage, but they're not the highest DPS guns. They're more of a utility like damage, like anybody can do. They have a decent amount of splash, and so they're really nice for, it's like only 34 DPS. Of course, I wasn't firing at full speed. So with all that said, weapon damages are now hooked up and they're behaving correctly. I still don't know at the moment how to damage myself, but I can do plenty of damage on my test dummy, and that does actually work. The weapons seem to behave correctly, and you can actually almost kind of like see the energy going down and everything like that. You can kind of imagine how this is going to play. Like I'm moving really fast to jump up here. Oh, I gotta do something about that weird floatiness that you get when you're in the air. So next up is going to be the pickups and energy pickups. I'm going to make sure that my melee weapons and stuff like that are working. Melee and offhand grenades, they currently are in the game, but they're not like behaving correctly. They should drain energy correctly. They should have their own stats. That should be pretty easy to set up. I'll probably have that set up really quickly. And I'm now adding energy pickups. Energy acts as armor. And then I guess weapon slots unlock will be after that. So this should be pretty straightforward to do. And that's about it for now. That's the progress so far. Hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more, click like and subscribe. And thanks for watching.